8:02. We're going to be calling to order the Prison Board of Inspectors for Center County. At this time, we will accept any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda. Is there any public comment anybody would like to make at this time? Feel free to unmute yourself, and we'll give you the time to make public comment. One last opportunity. Okay, hearing none, we will accept public comment as each item is under consideration and discussion. We will look for a motion to approve our minutes from our January Board of Inspectors meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
So moved. Oh. I'll second it, Mark.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
It's been moved by Commissioner Higgins, seconded by Commissioner Dersham to approve the minutes. Any final discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The motion is carried. Okay. Warden, we will turn it over to you for the monthly reports.
Morning, everyone. Starting off with our Returning Citizen Services Report, Center County Mental Health, Amy Miller. Last January, due to restrictions, she did not see anyone. This past year, she's seen 13, 2 at Penn State Psych, and 4 Crossroads Mental Health Group. Penn State Psychological Clinic, they're still virtual. They've seen 7 returning citizens the past month of January. Crossroads is still virtual meetings. Drug and alcohol, 13 male returning citizens, 4 times per month. 4 female returning citizens, 4 times per month. Mental health group, 2 males, 4 times per month, and 2 females, 4 times per month. Going into our Center County Compass program, males, we have 15 returning citizens with 4 peer supports. They meet 4 times per week for 4 weeks. A female group is 7 returning citizens, 1 peer support, 4 times per week for 4 weeks. We had 0 graduation at this time. Center County Decision Points program, they have a male group of 8 individuals. They meet 1 time per week for 4 weeks. Female group of 4, 1 time per week for 4 weeks. And we had no graduations at this time. Work release and community reentry workers, average per day. Centerpiece had an average of 4. County maintenance was 1. Grounds was 2. Work release was 4. A year ago, we had 0. The correctional facility monthly report, Center County population as of 1/31/2022. Total population that day was 225. Out of that 225, 133 was from Center County, 19 females, 114 males. Out of the 133, we had 78 unsentenced, 13 females, 65 males. County sentence, 42, 5 females, 37 males. State sentence was 13, 1 female, and 12 males. And the next state run is on February 22nd. There will be 5 individuals going to state at that time. Out of the 225 total count, our tentative county populations was 92. 15 females, 77 males. Out of the 92, 51 was unsentenced, 12 females, 39 males. County sentence is 40, 2 females, 38 males, and 1 state sentence is 1 female. For our daily population for January 2022, we started off the month with the blue is the Center County at 139, and we kind of had a little up and down throughout the month where we ended with 133. Our tentative county started off with 1. They're the orange. They started off with 106. We had a gradual decrease, and at the end of the month, we had 92. Our correctional facility monthly report continues here with Center County unsentenced population as of January 31st, 2022. New charges only, we had 38 males, 3 females with a total of 41. Probation and parole only, we have 10 males and 3 females, total of 13. Probation parole with new charges is males 16 and females are 6 with a total of 22. As you see, we have a total of the total Center County population of unsentenced males is 64, females is 12, comes out to 76. Continuing on with our Returning Citizen Services report, behavior modification status, we have 4 and 0 on tier 0. We have 1 on tier 2, and we have 13 that are out in population. Our co-occurring disorder, a year ago we had 3 with 16 intakes. This past January, we had 21 out of 62 intakes, which comes out to 33.8%. Only 8 were on medication upon intake. Out of the 21, 17 was from center, 5 females, 12 males, and 4 was out of county, 2 females, 2 males. Suicide watch a year ago was 7. This past January is 15. Out of the 15, 12 was from center, 2 females and 10 males, 3 from out of county, 2 females, 1 male. Out of the 15, 5 was detoxing. They were out of center county, 2 females and 3 males. The total detox total a year ago was 9, 7 from center and 2 from out of county. This past January is 24, 6 females, 18 males. Out of the 24, 21 was from center, 5 females, 16 males, 3 from out of county, 1 female, 2 males. The substance detox by numbers. We look at the heroin and opioids, we had 1 come in detoxing, benzo with 1. They were both from center. Meth was 2 from center. Alcohol was 5 from center. And Suboxone was 3 with 2 from center, 1 from out of county. The multiple mixture, as you can see there, was 12 individuals came in there with a different type of cocktail. 1 was benzo heroin from center, 2 from heroin meth from center, 2 from heroin alcohol center, 1 meth and Suboxone from center, 1 alcohol Suboxone from out of county, 2 benzo Suboxone from center, 1 heroin benzo meth from center, 1 heroin meth Suboxone from center, and 1 heroin alcohol and benzo from center. Our FIMAT numbers, we have nobody scheduled at this time for their Vivitrol injection. The numbers have stayed the same with who received their injection prior to release as 27. Our second injection is prior to release is 16, and we still only have 7 that returned back for the continual of Vivitrol injections. Our prime care report number, inpatient hospital, we had 1 for 4 days. It was 2 separate occasions. He had a brain tumor and it was removed. COVID-19 test results, returning citizens test, symptomatic testing. We had 281 negative, 3 positive currently, and we have recovered 98. Asymptomatic testing, we have negative of 1,915 testing results. Positive was 20. Recovered is 105. Total seen by the physician or PA a year ago was 67. This past January was 148. Total transports of outside physicians a year ago was 29. This past January is 23. Continue with our mental health clinicians seen, individuals seen. A year ago was 291. This past January was 271. Psychiatrists a year ago was 68. Past January was 69. Mental health patient on psychotropic medications. A year ago we had 103, which was 59.9% of our ADP. It was 172. This past January, our ADP was 235, which is 111. We're on psychotropic medications, which comes out to 47.2%. The daily average patients diagnosed with mental health is a total of 140 out of 235 ADP. A year ago, Category C was 91, 52.9% of our population. Category D was 17, 9.9% of our population. This past January, 123 was Category C, which is 52.3% of our population, and Category D is 17, with 7.2% of our population. Our mental health stability ratings for the entire population is a snapshot of January 31, 2022. Starting off with stability code A is a total of 44, which is 19% of our population. Stability code B is 10, with 18% of our population. Category C is 123 with 55% of our population, and Category D is 18 with 8% of our population. 0 is waiting placement, and our total population was 225 that day. Mental health stability rating by county. The blue is the center county and the orange is out of county. We're starting with stability code A. Center county had a total of 29, 26 males, 3 females. Out of county was 15, 15 males. Stability code B, center county is 21, 19 males and 2 females. Out of county was 19, 18 males and 1 female. Stability code C, is a total of 70 for Center County, 58 males, 12 females. Out of county is a total of 53, 41 males, 12 females. Ability code D, Center County is 13, 11 males, 2 females. Out of county is 5 with 2 females and 3 males. Our grievance reports, returning citizens grievance reports. A year ago we had 36. This past year we had 52. 3 were non-grievable, 0 were non-grievable found it, 17 were grievable, 0 found it, and we had 0 on first appeal and second appeal, 32 were refused. Central Booking Center, a year ago we had 31 bookings. This past January we had 199, which is a plus of 168. 11 to 7 shift process 32, 7 to 3 was 80, 311 was 87. That's it, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Warden. From the Prison Board of Inspectors, any questions or comments on the monthly reports? Okay, hearing none. Any public comment on the monthly reports? Okay, we're hearing none. Well, thank you, Warden, again, and we're going to go into our old business, and we'll start with the COVID-19 operations.
Yes, like I said, we're still doing the programming virtual meetings. The list has not changed there. We're continuing with our phone calls, meetings. That list has not changed in person. The list has continued there. Our visiting through non-contact rooms are set there. Our video access church services is still going on. And what's in process of adding is our leadership program with Centerpiece and our Ridgelines language arts that we're still waiting, that has to be done in person. So we're still holding off on that as of today. Our vaccine numbers there is none because they have it scheduled for Friday for their 10th COVID-19 vaccine and booster clinic. We no longer are being offered J&J due to CDC recommends not to offer that anymore. So we are doing Moderna and Pfizer. And we're looking at our 11th vaccine and booster clinic will be held the week of March 14th of 2022. That's it for my numbers there. Then we have a presentation about our work release by our reentry specialist, Vanessa Billeton.
Okay, before we get to Vanessa's presentation, if you would be willing to, Warden, just give a little bit of a update on what happened since our last meeting. I think you made the decision, unfortunately, to have to suspend the visitation. I believe there's something that you had to, in terms of that, can you give an update on that, of where we're at with that?
Yeah, so just about a week and a half ago, we suspended visits right now. We had some hiccups happen in different units with positive cases. And our our kitchen workers actually came up positive, so we had to really revamp. We had to get the girls out working in the kitchen, which is not a bad thing. They were actually more excited about that than the males are working, so they did a great job. They took care of mostly all 3 shifts there for a couple of days, and then we got some other workers out of our A3 units to work overnight to help out with that. That's a male unit. So at that point, we were things were popping up. We just wanted to cut things back and secure things back with the visitation. We are opening our visitation up, probably looking at next week, as long as our cases kind of subside. But we just had a couple of hiccups pop up here and there that kind of locked down a lot of the groups on quarantine. We just wanted to make sure that we didn't get it to spread, because this variant is very spreadable right now. It's very highly contagious, more so than the last 2 variants that we had. We were able to maintain. This variant is just unbelievably spreadable. And we've been, the administration team, we've been in a webinar with CDC. They have a division called the Correctional Detention Center Division. They had a meeting with us, and they said across the country that everybody's having a hard time containing, cohorting, and people not catching it a lot easier just because how spreadable this is.
Okay, thank you, Warden. In terms of that 2 weeks, are we still in a suspended visitation until notified, until you would announce that? Is that the plan?
Yes, and that'll be we have a date of Monday to reevaluate everything, or Friday or Monday, depends on how things are with our status inside the correctional facility. Like I said, I think we're on the downwind, but I don't want to knock on wood here before I open my mouth on that, because a lot of times it kind of backfires. So we're going to wait to Friday to see where we're at, and then reevaluate it probably Monday, and then I'll let the board know at that point.
Okay, thank you. And I think as a Prison Board of Inspectors, we continue to look to you to make that determination, you and your team, based upon on the ground situations. And so we would still remain in that working like that. And I think this is a good time than any to recognize you and your team and everybody else within the four walls of the correctional facility for everything that's been happening with Omicron. It's been, like you said, extraordinarily contagious. It's been a lot more challenging. But I think, Warden, that the lengths that you went to with the other variants have built a really good foundation for where you're able to react and pivot with this new one. So thank you. And just for the other Board of Inspectors members, just your knowledge, today the Board of Commissioners will have on our agenda for our Thursday meeting a consideration for another round of hazard pay for everybody at the correctional facility due to the extraordinarily, again, amount of virus that's gone through there, again, the lengths that they've needed to take. And I think it's important for us whenever we're considering just the fact that we're maybe relaxing as a society and as a country, the mitigation efforts, which I think many of us agree and are needed at this point because of the downward trajectory. Our correctional facility will most likely be not part of that conversation for the time being, as they are a congregate care facility. And again, we have to still be mindful of that. So it's even more important right now as we as a community and many other sectors of our work see things relaxing, restrictions easing, mitigation efforts going away at our correctional facility. We're not quite there yet. We're a few weeks, months, if not weeks behind. So we just want to let the rest of the Prison Board of Inspectors know that we'll be considering that action at our meeting, just as another way of thanking them for what they're doing. But
I deeply appreciate that, sir.
Absolutely. Well, you're very welcome, Warden. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from Prison Board of Inspectors members on specifically the COVID-19 operations? Okay.
I have a question. Excuse me, Commissioner Pipe. I have a question.
Yep, you took the words right out of my mouth, Connie. Is there any public comment at this time, Connie? We'll turn it over to you.
Okay. We had a recent meeting of the Center County Council of Human Services, and the issue of COVID-19 vaccination came up. So I wanted to have a clear picture of what the vaccine versus testing policy is right now at the correctional facility.
Warden, if you'd like to address that.
Yes, we have a list. We are following the county policy with everybody that is not vaccinated and that did not have a positive, that were not positive in the last 90 days, are all getting tested weekly. So we have a schedule that Deputy Gordon set out that each individual, before they come to work, we have a station set up. Medical Prime Care is taking care of the swabs. So when they come in, before they even go anywhere else, they go ahead and do the swab. They put it through the machine, and depends on the testing if they continue back through the jail or not at that time. So they get weekly testing, and then the testings are uploaded into a server that the county has.
Have you seen any increase in vaccination rates among your staff because of that new policy?
I'm not sure because of the new policy, but we found out that there were several other ones that were vaccinated that we were not aware of, and that's their prerogative. They don't need to tell us until the policy came out, and then they had to relay that to our HR director, Kristen. So we didn't. There's a few that we did not know, and there's a few that we found out that we had to help because they had to upload their cards into the system. That we found out they were vaccinated. So it's a plus. So like I said, we only keep data on who told us until the policy came out and we found out there's a lot more So right now, I think we're testing 18 or 22. Okay, this week's, yeah, so this week we're at 19. Next week it could be, it depends
Sure.
where we fall at. So yes.
And then one follow-up question. Oh, sorry, it went out of my head.
Well, if you think about it, you can always email me if you need to.
Okay. No, I guess what my question was is, are you able through follow-up to find out whether the virus is coming in from visitors, work release, or staff? I know you said you've had some problems maintaining your.
It's very difficult trying to, because of this last time it popped up a couple different areas. It could be staff. It could be a new commitment that tested negative, and they might have been a false negative. I mean, there's a whole lot of variants that we can try to shoot a dartboard at here, and a dart at the board there, just trying to figure out. It's very difficult because the individuals that work those units never came up positive. So, that's what's kind of frustrating with us with this variant, that, a lot of times we can maybe go back through, and maybe there was an officer that came up positive a couple days later, or was positive before that, or so forth. Right now with this variant, we have not found that anybody that's positive worked those units at this time.
That makes it very puzzling. I understand that. Thank you for that information. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and one other thing, all of our staff's been in N95 masks for 3 weeks now. I think it's about 3 weeks or more. We're all in N95 masks. Every staff that comes in our doors on N95 masks. So we've been.
And you're still isolating new admits, is that right?
That is correct. We do isolate them, yes. And they get tested upon into the correctional facility. Day 5 and day 10, they get tested too. So.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you, Connie.
Just a quick comment, if I could. Not to make your head swell or to jump on the thank you bandwagon, but I do want to thank you because, yes, it's about keeping the individuals in the facility safe, but when we have trainees coming to us, it's also keeping us safe. And it's always kind of a hardship when we lose them, but we certainly appreciate the fact that the correctional facility is also keeping our staff safe by not permitting people to go out. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other public comment at this time? Okay, hearing none. We will then move, as you said, Warren, to a presentation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we were asked to give a presentation on our work release, so I'm just going to kind of give a quick overview. So eligibility and criteria, they must be sentenced to even be looked at for work release. They can only be Huntington or Center County inmates. I look at a weekly list that shows if an individual is sentenced, so I know if they're recently sentenced, it pops up the following week to me to look at them. On their sentencing order, they'll be showed if they are eligible. If they are not eligible for work release or reentry, then they can petition the courts to be made eligible, to be reviewed, to be made eligible. So they can't have any active detainers. This excludes inmates with current summary offenses or summary detainers for costs and fines. We can look and review all those situations there. They can't have any warrants or open charges with posted bail. That can be considered and approved by the warden. They have to have a satisfactory prison adjustment, misconduct free for at least 30 days. They have to be medically and psychiatrically approved by the program. I apologize, a little nervous here. The returning citizens must understand and sign work release, community reentry, and education program agreement prior to starting a work release. So that means that they have to read and understand all the rules and regulations and abide by them. Inmates may be prohibited from participating if they have any of the following. Sex offenses will be will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis if deemed eligible by the courts. And escape-related behaviors or convictions within the last 10 years. Any current felony assault-related convictions, misdemeanors, assault-related convictions will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Current offenses involving domestic violence will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Other crimes or criteria are deemed inappropriate by the warden that shows the inmate poses a risk to the community. Some more criteria: they must be paid in a manner of payroll and a weekly or bi-weekly paycheck that follows all federal and state employment guidelines. They must maintain employment and turn in their check on time. They must have a set schedule by the employer. That can be subject to change. They just have to notify me in an appropriate amount of time so I can make sure all the changes are done. They must be covered under workman's compensation and show me proof. If an inmate is self-employed, they have to have a tax EIN number, have to have at least a $1 million umbrella health insurance policy with a deductible of at least $250, provide 3 years of previous income tax forms and financial records as documentation for consideration to continue with self-employment. They must secure a dependable ride to and from work, plus a standby in case of emergency or means to safely arrive to the place of employment. They must use the most direct route to and from employment and remain within 60 miles driving distance of the Center County Correctional Facility. Work release inmates are not permitted to conduct any personal business, make or receive any phone calls, or use any type of cell phone, access social media or receive visits from anyone at their workplace, have a balance due to the work release program or failure to pay costs and fines set by the facility administration. They cannot work more than 12 hours per shift. They are permitted to have overtime, but they need to run it by me first to make sure that they're not going over the hours. They cannot work 7 days in a row. It can be 6 days in a row, have a day off, and then they can work again after that, another 6-day stretch. They cannot be the first employee of a business or the first payroll employee of a business or be a 1099 employee. Outlook on what I have to start to review to get the process started for them. As I said before, they must be sentenced, work release eligible in the sentencing order. They also have to be fully vaccinated to go off facility grounds, so I can put them outside to work on the facility grounds, but they have to be fully vaccinated to go to Centerpiece or county maintenance or an actual job. I have to go through, review all the charges to make sure it's not an inappropriate charge going out. I have to review their min and max dates if they are domestic violence, any active PFAs or Megan laws, any type of detainers or any active cases that includes out-of-county cases, and pending charges and fines and costs, which we can review with the judges to make sure that they're okay with sending them out if they do have something that's active that they haven't paid on. We look back at their criminal history of 3 years. We kind of put a damper on that to make sure that we're not looking back at 15 years and reviewing them on something that they've done that far back. So we thought 3 years would be appropriate to look back on. We also review their institutional behavior, so misconducts, court-ordered programming, voluntary participation. So that would be, I have to work around if they're in like DUI court, if they're in the Compass program, stuff like that. I work around all their schedules to get them outside and make sure everything collaborates with each other. We go through medical to make sure that they're medically fit to go outside and have no restrictions or anything. And we also have our records specialist, Kelly. She reviews their cases as well to make sure we don't miss anything. They have to submit a clean urine for a drug test and random drug screenings thereafter. So prior to them going out, they have to submit the clean urine, and then we randomly drug test them. Their phone calls also get monitored for safety and security of the facility to ensure that the rules and regulations are being followed as well. So a couple of the documents, this is one of the first ones, how it works. There's a letter to an employer. It has all the rules and regulations. They sign off who's going to be supervising them, their address, telephone, supervisor's number, when they're going to start work, their pay cycle, a multitude of information there. Once they get that back to me, they'll also supply me with a workman's compensation policy. I'll review that to make sure it's an accurate document. And then the inmate will go through a process of signing the rules and regulations, and we go over any type of questions that they have to make sure that they're fully aware of all the rules and understand them. Transportation, so they must secure dependable transportation by themselves. If they can't do that, then we have some things that we can attempt to try to provide for them. So if they have private transport, they must provide a valid license, registration, insurance, and then I review all that to make sure it's all valid. There is the CATA Bus and the CATA Go program. The CATA Go program is kind of our better option right now because the bus is not currently coming to the facility. CATA Go only goes to certain locations within the Bellefonte area and through Boalsburg, so we're kind of limited as far as what we can do for job searches when the individual doesn't have transportation set up. If they're driving their own vehicle, they must have their valid driver's license, registration, and insurance. They can't have anything pending, so I'll reach out to our probation department as well, and they can help review to make sure that they don't have any suspensions. That's also going to depend on the nature of their charges and criminal history, which could impact their ability to drive. So we just want to make sure everything's good to go there. The CATA Go program, they have a weekly online schedule, so I can do it a day by day, or I can set it up at a week at a time. They charge $2.20 per ride. As I said, they're only available to pick up in specified places in certain zones. So some more items for review. It's the duration of their sentence that these are some of the things that could possibly be looked at to be changed a little bit to help provide, to be able to get them out on work release for, to get them set up for in the long run. The durations of their sentence, sometimes they'll get a short sentence, so they're here for 30 days. So once they get out in Gen Pop, they essentially have, 30 to 15 days to go, and it's quite a long process to be able to start to get them out to work and accept the position if they do get it. So they end up in return, they come, do their short sentence, and they're out. So we can't really help get them set up for something in that avenue. Or one of the other things is they're sent to complete programming and then they're released. So in return, they come in, they do their sentence, and then they're released. So at that time, once their programming is complete, they're released, and I can't really do much to help them to supply a job as well. Or they're going to rehab, so I can't really supply them with a job if they're just, once their time is up to go to rehab, then they're just out. I can't get them a job and then say, hey, to their employer, I'm sorry, but they're going to rehab now, so you're not going to have that individual. Some of the other things is vaccination status. We don't have all of our individuals willing to get vaccinated to go off grounds. So if they are eligible, I do get them out and I can have them on grounds doing a multitude of things, but that's another thing holding them back to actually get a job. Or we have part of our population that's just unwilling to participate in the program as well. This is an outlook on some of our participating employers. Novelex, the bag plant in Milesburg, we actually have 2 individuals working there currently. Chemcut Manufacturing and State College, I have one going through an application process with them right now. The UPS warehouse, they are willing to participate. Walmart Benner Pike, they're willing to participate with us. They just have more strict guidelines on who they hire. We had one go through EAB Ironworks in Bellefonte. Wizard Janitorial is willing to work with us. So I've been told we're waiting on a response back to see what they want to do with that. U-Haul Benner Pike, one of the things with them is they have to have a valid driver's license to be able to work there. So we're kind of in the middle with individuals for that because most of the people that we get, a lot of them have suspended licenses. Hanover Foods in Center Hall. We have one individual working currently at Gumby's Pizza in State College. McDonald's on the Benner Pike. And Dunkin' Donuts right down the road. I am waiting for the corporate approval to move forward with a hiring process there. Our monthly numbers from January: work release were 3, centerpiece was 3, county maintenance was 1, and facility grounds was 5 for a total of 12. And this is an outlook on our population and sentence for outside clearance. Last month, when I ran the numbers, unsentenced were 80, sentenced were 44, sentenced vaccinated were 15, sentenced unvaccinated were 25, and we had 3 out to centerpiece, 1 out to county maintenance, 3 to work release, and 5 grounds. And again, here's another analysis. Mental health, these would be reasonings as to why or why not they could go out. 2 were mental health, 2 were on disciplinary custody, 6 is their history within the facility, 3 are pending release, 2 had active cases in different counties. One individual I ended up having to remove from work release due to infractions while he was out working. 7 were pending, 3 refused, 4 is the nature of their charges, and 3, there's various other things that I could put in there for reasonings why they didn't work out, and 12 were outside clearance. And that is it.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa, for the presentation. Let's take an opportunity for the prison board to ask any questions or comments this time.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Bernie. And I wanted to thank the warden as well as all the work that's being done to try to get work release running in the COVID era. I had a conversation with the warden months ago before Omicron, and I think we both share we both have the objective of wanting to get our work release program up and running. When I first took office, it was in real trouble, and I thought we could turn on a switch and we would have a robust work release program. I don't believe that occurred, and then obviously COVID hit, and that's put a real challenge on it. And I asked the warden if he'd be willing to make presentations and update us on it, so going forward we could work on it, look at it, understand it, and see how we could get it back. I just wanted to thank them for the effort and the presentation. I appreciate it, and I think with information we can see what we can do to on the other side of COVID, build this into something that makes sense, is reasonable for the individuals involved, and still works and protects members of the community. So again, thank you. I know it's a work in progress, and I know just looking at numbers, the vaccinated stat and unvaccinated status is a real challenge, and I've asked them to update us periodically so that we can begin to look at it. And again, thank you for the presentation. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you, Bernie. Any other questions?
This is Steve. Vanessa, I just have one question. Obviously we're looking at a work environment where, if you will, employers are more aggressively seeking help. Are you finding that that's playing to our advantage here, and that we are seeing a lot of opportunities that previously we didn't have? What's your feeling on that, kind of intuitively?
Yes and no. Walmart, they were super excited whenever I reached out to them, but like I said, they're pretty picky on the background status on some of these individuals, so they're absolutely willing to work with us because they're much in need, but they're more particular. The bag plant in Milesburg, they've been wonderful. They'll pretty much take whoever we send their way. They're pretty grateful. But it's kind of up and down, honestly. There's a lot of people that want workers, but they're only willing to take certain individuals. So it's harder in that realm.
So I would appreciate that. I was thinking with the vast amount of folks that are looking for help, that it's got to be a lot more opportunity for our returning citizens to go out and find jobs, because there's so many of them out there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I started in September with this position. I have kind of noticed an up and down. Like I said, there's so many that are open, but they're still only willing to take certain individuals. So that's kind of been an issue. And one of our big things is transportation. We've had 2 hirings fall through because of transportation, because I don't have a means to get this certain individual to this job. So I've had 2 different jobs fall through for him, unfortunately. But with the Catabus being down and the Catago only going certain places, it makes it really difficult to get him hired, honestly. So we're trying to figure out another avenue as far as transportation for these individuals to try to make it an easier process for them.
All right, thank you.
I was thinking the same thing, Commissioner Dersham, that for the next several years, we're going to be in a workforce development environment that's going to be to a returning citizen's advantage, because they're going to be able to, I think, have more employers to choose from. I would agree with you. I mean, again, it's one of the, I guess, very, very thin silver lines of the challenges of hiring folks nowadays, that hopefully individuals who are incarcerated will be able to find some employment during that time and help them after employment as well, or their incarceration. Vanessa, one question about Catabus, and is it where they can't transfer?
Yeah, so like the Catago, their area, like their cutoff area, is Boalsburg. So whenever I was talking to the lady yesterday, because I had found another opening, and I wanted to specify with the lady to make sure, okay, where is the absolute farthest we can go? And it was there was a place out in Science Park, which ChemCut's out in Science Park. It goes nowhere near them, and they want a lot of people. So
and my question was going to be, are they allowed to transfer? So if they go to the mall, are they allowed to transfer?
Yes, we tried doing all those options, but it's not with only going to a certain location, like to Boalsburg, like that's the farthest they'll go, even through the transfers of the bus, because we tried going from the jail to the mall and then picking up another bus, but it still wouldn't go to that location.
But our policy does allow them to take a Catago and then to take a fixed ride route.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep, they can transfer.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on this? This was very helpful for us, I think.
Yes, actually. First of all, I'm not ruling out that Centerpiece might be able to help with transportation. I know we briefly talked about it. We do have the van. We are used to transporting. So I'm not, we can discuss that more if you like. It would just be us having an individual who would be flexible enough to be able to do that. The hours are the one thing that we have to look at. He could start as early as 7, but if someone needed to be there at 5 or 6, that creates an issue. The other thing is, do you have any statistics on the individuals who go into work release that are able to continue with those jobs post, when they're reentering? Do most of them stay in those positions, or, do you have any statistics on that?
No, we don't.
Okay. I was just curious what the rate was as far as them being able to continue in employment after they're released. So, all right, thank you.
Yep.
One thing on that, Kathy, is our previous employers were more restaurant oriented, where they would probably, once they got out, they got the job while they're in here. Once they got out, they moved on to something different.
Okay.
Besides Hanover Foods, we when Lorenda was here, we actually met with Hanover Foods. The biggest problem with Hanover Foods is transportation all the way over to Center Hall. But the screen right now, these individuals that are up here, the ChemCut, the bag company first did not want to work with us when we first opened up our work release back in 17. But Vanessa's done a superior job reaching out to these other companies, UPS, Walmart, ChemCut, the bag company, Malsberg, the Irons Works in Bellefonte. So these are all new people that actually are coming on, and we feel that they're more sustainable jobs for when they do get out than working at a restaurant. Not saying you couldn't make a living in a restaurant, but a lot of guys don't want to stay or females don't want to stay in that room. They want something a little bit more, have a better foundation, maybe benefits and so forth, where I think these companies that Vanessa reached out to and got them to agree upon to interview our individuals inside the walls, and offer them a position if they meet the criteria. I think Vanessa really went above and beyond of reaching out and explaining our program and trying to guarantee that we're giving them the best people we can possible to work at their employment. So yes, I think in the future we can look at these as long as we keep our nose with these individuals and continue to look for sustainable work thereafter. I think they will stay with those, but we'll have to. We can start looking at that with data. But last 2 years with COVID, we really didn't have a whole lot going on with our work release. So when we open back up here, I think we can start tracking that as much as possible. Since we have a good workmanship here with these individuals or these employments, that I think we can have that conversation with them like a month after. Hey, is Mr. Smith still working for you? And then we can try to keep that tally and go from there.
Well, I'm more than happy to continue the conversation to see if there's any way that we can help provide transportation, so that we can keep people employed. I think the biggest issue is going to be that after they're released, their transportation, because they would have to be dependent on either public transportation or family. But I'm more than happy to continue that conversation.
Okay, I thank you. I know one thing I want to just emphasize on too is when Vanessa talked about the short sentencings, a lot of times they might be in here 4 months, 6 months, and then they get revocated or they get their charges brought to the courts. And I understand with everything, we're still playing catch up. But when they do sentence them, then it's like 30 days, and then we got to have the court order for them to be able to get released. And I think they've been here. If it's 4 months, 3 months, 6 months, I mean, if we could get them revocated sooner or something and give them maybe a longer tail that we can get them a job and get them placement, and then we work on housing. Because another thing is our housing. We didn't even touch about that. But if somebody has money in their account, then we're able to find housing for them as well, even though it is difficult to find housing. But I think if they have some kind of funds, we can work on that as well. So I think we just keep plugging away and keep forward thinking and trying to build this program the best we can. And I appreciate the courts and Bernie and everybody working with us on this.
I have a quick question.
Please go ahead, Janet.
First of all, I just want to extend my appreciation to Vanessa. All of this initiative is so heartening, and the complex nature of the vetting process really means you have to be on your toes to work through all of the issues. But you're clearly in favor of success in terms of getting these folks out. So thank you. What percentage? Go ahead, Vanessa. What?
I was just saying thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What percentage of the pay goes to the facility?
So there's a 15, if they actually have a job, there's a 15% maintenance fee. And then in return, if they have fines and costs and whatnot with the courts, our probation will actually give myself and our accountant how much they need to be deducted from that pay as well.
Okay, and so just as a practical matter, I've looked at those fines and costs sometimes. Is that a reason why some folks are discouraged from maybe doing it?
I mean, so far it hasn't been. They've actually been pretty open-minded and have wanted to get started on paying their fines and costs, because then essentially they do get out and then they're not having to be bothered with fines and costs then. They're already ahead of the game. So, as an example, the one individual had a fines and costs from 2020 that he never paid a cent on. So when we were looking at the job, he's like, yeah, tell them to take as much as they want so I can be done with this. Because
Got
he
it.
didn't have the job prior to take care of it. So it was good on all grounds there.
Right. Okay, great. Thanks. I understand now. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure, go ahead, Connie.
I'm not curious about the 30-day issue. If someone already has a job and is working, do they have to be without work for 30 days or can they continue working at their job?
On their initial incarceration?
Yes.
Yeah, so if they get on the Center County website and they go under the correctional facility, all the material that they need to take care of prior to coming in, they can have all that stuff taken care of. So it'll make the process a lot easier for me once they do get in here. However, they still have to, once they come in, they have to go through the quarantine process. And as long as there's no issues with them, say they come in and they're under the influence whenever they are self-commit, or, they come in and something happens out in intake where they're unruly, then that would cause an issue. If not, they'll go through the process, the 5-day quarantine. As long as they don't come up positive, they'll be moved down to the work release units and started as soon as possible.
Okay, so they don't have to be without work for 30 days.
No, the 30 days is a misconduct-free type thing. So if
Okay.
somebody comes in to jail and they do the whole thing good, there's no issues. If they get a misconduct for whatever reason, they need to be 30 days misconduct-free to show that they can show sustainability and be able to prove themselves within the facility before actually putting them outside. So if they can't follow the rules and regulations in the facility, they really shouldn't be out in the public at that point.
Thank you. And then I'm happy to see that the change in radius for work has changed. It previously was they could only be working in Center County, but that would be a hardship for your Huntington people. So that 60-mile radius permits them to go to work in Huntington. Is that correct?
Yes. There's some individuals that in their sentencing orders, though, they must stay in Center County. We work with our Huntington County inmates as well. If they're sentenced and meet our criteria, then Huntington County is allowing their inmates to be on work release program.
Okay, and one last thing. The transportation issue, does the person leaving for work have to use the same driver or same type of transportation every day, or can it vary?
No, it can vary. We try to stick with 2. I have one individual that has 3 at the moment because his secondary individual ended up going on vacation. So we did allow him to have that 3rd individual placed on there to make sure that he could go to and from work.
I'm very grateful for that, those changes. And I am, again, one of those who's been preaching about getting people out to work ever since I've become a member of the Prison Society. So I, again, want to say thank you for your efforts. It's encouraging.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other comments before we move forward? Okay, Vanessa, thank you once again for the presentation today and all the work that you're doing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, to our other monthly reports. Carrie, we'll start with you.
I don't have an update for this month. I'm still waiting on some statistics for 2021 to come in, so I'll have something next month. Did you catch that?
Janet, I'm sorry, anything from the Prison Society?
Yeah, I think Connie has an update she wants to report.
I just wanted to make sure that Denise distributed the parenting report from the last session.
Not sure. I didn't see it. I know she's been off work for a little bit with her granddaughter, so I know she's playing catch up a lot this week. So I'm not sure if she.
I did submit it, and so if it hasn't gone out, I'll check with her to make sure that the prison board receives it. It's pretty positive. So again, the class was small but enthusiastic, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to offer the class again when I return.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Connie. And Kathy.
Yeah, our trainees have returned. We thank you very much for that and appreciate it. We are looking at restarting the Friends and Family Support Group. We had stopped that just so we could tweak it a little bit and figure out exactly what direction we wanted to take with it. And also COVID, that was a big factor. People need to be comfortable coming out. It's not something you want to do on Zoom. You want to do it in person. I have an intern who is formerly incarcerated who is instrumental in helping me begin the reentry support group for individuals who are formerly incarcerated or reentering. Looking forward to beginning the leadership program for reentry with the warden and CCCF as soon as we're able to. We've got, Centerpiece currently right now has three full-time formerly incarcerated individuals working for us. We have 2 in full-time set positions, and we have 1 in that 3-month rotating position that we give to someone who's newly reentering. And everybody's working out great so far. And we're working on housing. Hopefully I'll have a report or a presentation at some point in time that I can give, but we're working on it. We're getting closer. So hopefully we'll be able to help solve some housing issues. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Okay, we will see everybody virtually March 10th at 8 a.m. Any other things that we wanted to discuss today before we adjourn? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn, Controller Moser.
Second.
Been moved by Controller Moser, seconded by Judge Oliver. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.